Good evening, race fans. Welcome to tonight's coverage, and we are here at round 5 of the MC Motorsport GT3 season. Coming to you tonight from Rudskogen in Norway. I'm your host for the evening. My name is Jared. Apologies from our regular commentator Nick, who unfortunately has some real-world duties to attend to this evening, which is a real shame. We tried to get our very first broadcast up and running last week, and Nick and I had a fantastic time commentating. Unfortunately, our stream wasn't working, so we've got no proof that we did a really great job. Instead, I'm going to have to fly solo tonight and hopefully keep you entertained and informed as we go through tonight's round. Let's take a look at the track for this evening. As I said, we're in Norway, Rudskogen Motor Centre, running a just over a 3 kilometre lap, but of course being a timed race tonight, it'll be interesting to see how many we actually get into each of the sessions. 14 turns, doesn't look like a particularly challenging track when you look at a flat map like this, but certainly the concern that's been bandied around by most of the field in the Discord coming up to tonight's round is the elevation changes here at Rudskogen, which are really going to make things challenging. On top of that, a blistering Norwegian summer, an air temperature of 20 degrees and a track temp of 21 is going to find the drivers really struggling to get some temp into those tyres tonight. So will be interesting to see just how it pans out. Expect some very careful first couple of laps of each session tonight while they do try and get the heat up, and then we will go racing from there. Drivers just going through qualifying at the moment. We are seeing a very wide range of times this evening, and I think that's down to the challenge of this particular track. Alexander Wilson certainly setting the pace in practice earlier, and for a moment there I thought he was going to be all alone in the 1 minute 20s, but has found himself joined by quite a few other competitors throughout the practice session earlier. So it will be interesting to see how he stacks up with his qualifying run and everyone else's as well, but it would be nice to see if anyone does manage to crack the 119s tonight. I don't think it'll be happening based on what we saw earlier in practice. So look, should be a good night for racing. Dry track conditions, no rain forecast. We are expecting it to be pretty straightforward, but will be exciting racing nonetheless, as it always is with this group of drivers. Taking a look now at the championship so far after 4 rounds and penalties. Miles Bond out in front. He is absolutely one of the pace setters in every race so far of this season. Mitchell Curry, of course, just behind him with 544 points to Miles's 570. Matthew Carrick rounds out the top 3 there with 535. But as you can see, with 200 points potentially on the line each round, it really is a very tight top 8. We're hoping to see a bit of movement there for some of the other players. Again, as I said, Alex Wilson is setting the pace so far in qualifying, so he'll be looking to lift himself out of 6th and hopefully up into that top 3 with tonight's round. As usual, 2 races this evening after our qualifying session. Race 1 will be our 40 minutes of Rudskogen, so there will be pit stops playing their part there, and pit strategy will come into it, of course. Followed up by a second race, a 20-minute sprint with a reverse top 10 grid. So always fun to try and just get those top finishes from the first race to battle through that sprint. What we have seen the last couple of rounds in that sprint race is, given that it is so short and people are keen to get into position quickly, it's really provided some interesting first couple of laps with quite a few incidents and yellow flags, and we'll see if tonight has brought us more of the same, or perhaps we'll see some clean, fast and hard racing from that second piece. I will just take you now to the qualifying results as they're coming in. Just to give you a bit of an idea of how that's looking, and as I said, Alex Wilson is currently with about 3 minutes left to go in the qualifying session, out in front with a 120.6. But I tell you what, there's the whole lot of people not far off his time there. Really exciting to see Alan Dawson up in second. He's one of the very few drivers tonight that's not racing a Porsche or a Mustang, so to see him at that kind of pace is definitely promising, and we should get a nice mix of models throughout our top 10, I suspect. Hugh and Miles there in our Ferraris in 4th and 5th. Mitchell Curry, of course, showing his chops up in 3rd. Matthew Carrick, Joshua Van Treek, Bradley Cheney, Dean Reddit and Roberto McKee rounding up the top 10 so far in qualifying, with probably only a couple of laps left up their sleeve. Further down the field, you can see even though we do drop a second or so back, there is still a very tight contest through 11 to 20. A couple of names to watch for here. Kyle Stevens and Josh Harris always provide some entertaining racing. They have been known to battle well, not just with each other, but with other drivers. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And then Nathan Bowman is one to watch as well further back in the pack. Coming through the rest of the pack there, we've got a few people who are rounding out the 24 that set qualifying times. Our pace cars tonight provided by Isaac Edwards, and I suspect Pete Manette stepping in as a secondary safety car if it's needed. Hopefully they'll get to sit back and not really see much action tonight. That's always the ideal after all. So as you can see, a few more times starting to roll through there. Checking the top list again. Tell you what, Alex Wilson, not bad, cutting another 3/10 off his qualifying time on, I imagine, his second lap. Qualifying format here, of course, for our GT3 series is 10 minutes and no lap limit, unlike many of the iRacing officials. So if these guys have got the time and they've got the pace, they can certainly chip away at that qualifying time to find themselves a bit further up the order when the grid does come around. Just wrapping up qualifying now, we've got about 45 seconds to go. We'll be trying to bring you coverage of all the events this evening, but we'll of course put together a replay package as and when we are able to. This stream of course will be saved on YouTube, so if you are coming back to this after the live race, I hope you enjoy it and feel free to skip ahead as we go. Barring any late runs in this last 10 seconds, I'd say that Alex Wilson has that pole position well and truly wrapped up for our first race this evening. Alright, we will give them just a moment to wrap up qualifying there. And let's take a quick look at the grid for this evening, as the drivers do start to line up. So Alex Wilson and Alan Dawson on the front row, followed by Joshua Van Treek and Mitchell Curry in 3 and 4. Hugh Belflin, Miles Bond, Matthew Carriage and Bradley Cheney rounding out the top 8 there. We've got Hayden Callman, Ryan Palmer, John Schultz, Graham Dooley, Paul Saunders, Nathan Bowman, Hayden Morris and Roland Dixon through the next few spots as well. I'm pretty sure we've just managed to skip a whole page there, so apologies to Dean, Stefan, Roberto, Jacob, Cooper, Scott, Josh and Kyle.
Watch out for the fold-in Mustangs, boys, they're coming.
Oh good, we've got race audio working, so that's something.
That ugly piece of shit I saw before go past.
I'm going to have to sort that out, I suspect.
Yes.
Let's see how we go.
That...
Let me cut that out. I'm hoping to actually have some race control audio, but we'll see how we go. Take it down. We will take it down to grid now, because I suspect we are not far away from a start. less than 30 seconds left for the drivers to actually make their way to the grid. Alrighty, and we are under starters orders now. And here we go, race 1, 40 minutes of Rudskogen. And a clean start all the way through the pack, which is what we'd like to see. Green flags are waving, the cars coming through the first corner, 3-4 wide. This could get messy, but let's see what we get. They've done well, reasonably well controlled, although, oh, we've got an incident there straight away. Lost a good number of cars. So car 53, Nathan Bowman, that one as well. We might just, car 73 caught up in that as well. So just having a look, that'll be Hayden Kellman who got caught up in that one as well. Thankfully the rest of the pack seems to have sorted themselves out there. We will just have a, see if we can have a quick look back at what's actually happened there. Let's see if our replay is working for this evening. Oh, yeah, just a bit ambitious going 3 wide, and so we've had both of those cars tangle. Luckily, I'm not quite sure who it was that made it through there, but only the 2 of them that were actually impacted, so could have been far worse. We come around the first lap through there, and let's have a quick look at how they're stacking up so far. So Alan Dawson out in the lead with Alex Wilson right on his tail. For those who have not seen these broadcasts before, which frankly should be all of you, if you're wondering which driver we're following at any given time, you'll see that they're highlighted in grey just down the left there as well. I do just want to come back. We've got a number of incidents popping up in the system here, so I just do want to have a quick look back at them and see what we can see. So we'll go back to Stefan Lawrence a little earlier on as well, so we'll just have a look and see what's happened to him here. Oh, he's just lost it on cold tyres there, unfortunately. Again, cold track, first lap. Not at all surprised to see that we've got people that are struggling to find traction. Alan Dawson setting the fastest lap at 1:21.2, which is pretty quick considering that it's a fairly cold tyre lap. Given we've seen low 120s during qualifying, it's not far off at all. We'll take a quick look back now at Cooper Eckersley, who has apparently had an incident a little earlier as well. Let's see what's happened here. Yeah, we'll jump straight back. Bring a little bit further back in the pack now. Whoa, a little bit hairy there, and I think we probably just lost a couple of cars off the tail of that as well. Tell you what, I thought it'd be an interesting start to the race given the track conditions, but wasn't expecting it to be quite this exciting for everybody. Let's have another look back now as well. That incident just there looks like it may have been Stefan Lawrence and Nathan Berman potentially. But let me just have a quick look here and see if we can get that one back for you as well. Oh, the cold tyres again. Yeah, that will do it. It's an interesting field we've got tonight. I think I counted all of about 5 cars that were not Porsches or Mustangs, but glad to see a couple of other cars in the mix as well. Let's just jump now to the front 8. Actually, are all holding a very close battle here. Alan Dawson's managed to hold his lead so far, but being followed very, very closely. That top 8 all within about 3 seconds of each other at the moment. In fact, even less than that as I learn to read my screens here. Interval from first to 8th, all about 1.2 seconds right now. No, apologies. Had it right the first time. There you go. Look, I am new to this, so bear with me. Keen for any feedback in the chat. If you're floating around, by all means, then feel free to slag off at my work here, and I will probably carry on without giving too much attention as well. A few minutes a bit further back in the pack, Bradley Cheney starting to push on through. He tries to recover a few positions. And then if we have a look at the battle for 9th as well, we've got quite a few cars there trailing Scott Stevens. Josh Harrison in the mix, of course. So that'll be interesting to see if he can make his way through there as well. Alex Wilson's just set a new fastest lap at 1:20.68, so he's only about 3/10 off his qualifying time. I'd say he's starting to feel a bit of grip underneath him there, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens from here with his race position. Take a quick look back now at so Jackson Domain may have had some issues, so we'll just take a quick squiz at that. Let's see what we can see. Yep, the rear's got a bit loose there, and again the elevation changes have seen one of our drivers come unstuck. He's done really well to keep it from sliding into the tyres though, and so it shouldn't cost him too much more than a bit of time in the moment. Doesn't look like any aero damage, so hopefully we can hold that together. And we'll jump straight across. It looks as though Brian East has just had some issues as well. So we'll see what we can see here. Oh, yep. Yeah, it certainly was a feature of the practice session earlier. The elevation changes do seem to bring the rear end of a lot of these cars unstuck. Back live here, we'll jump ahead. Alan Dawson, Alex Wilson and Miles Bond starting to put a little bit of a gap on the rest of that top 8. Let's keep an eye here on Alan and Alex as they go toe to toe for that number 1 spot. much in it. Their best lap so far, very close together. Well, Alan's backing right off there. I think he's recognising the speed of Alex Wilson there, sorry, and allowing him through. And it looks as though Miles Bond may be looking to take the opportunity as well. Had a penalty for car 78, lap on turn 1 there for John Schultz. So race control just notifying us of a penalty that's come through there. So we may try and have a look back at that. I wonder if John was perhaps the middle of the 3 that managed to scoot by. So that might be worth reviewing after the race. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to Alan's pace there. He certainly backed off from Alex and letting him run away a little. Now Miles Bond will be desperate to get past Alan and to keep up with Alex. Miles being a front runner in most of our races so far this season, I'm expecting he won't want to be held up. So let's watch for Alan to potentially let Miles through. Or perhaps get a little more aggressive and maintain his hold on that number 2 spot. So we get a great view from inside the car there. Miles is biding his time here, watching for any weakness in Alan's lines. The car's already trundling around in the lap there. We're not far in at all here, only 9 laps in, so certainly taking its toll, the number of incidents we've been seeing. While we've been watching this, we've also had a couple of incidents with Bradley Cheney and Stefan Lawrence as well, so we might have a look back at those in just a moment as Miles closes right up on Alan through that series of corners. Great battle for the top 3 here, and I'm hesitant to look away, honestly, because I know that the minute we do, we're going to miss some great passing moves, I'm sure. Miles looking to take full advantage of the slipstream down the home straight. Surprised to not see Alan defending his position a little there, but perhaps he's confident with the speed of the Audi that he knows he can hold Miles off through that corner at least. As you can see, the field's starting to spread out now. We're out to a full minute and then a couple of people who are lapped already, but quite a spread as we look through the race order at the moment. It does, however, appear that everyone's settled down a little. We've stopped getting notifications of incidents coming through. So let's take a look away for just a moment and see what we can see with these last couple of incidents. First, taking a look at Bradley Cheney. That corner has been the undoing of a couple of cars already tonight, and Bradley's no exception, so at least he's in good company. I know that a lot of the drivers were concerned about the elevation changes here, but seeing it now, I'm not too disappointed that I decided to sit this one out and commentate instead, because that's certainly proving to be fairly tricky. We'll jump on over to Stefan Lawrence's incident here as well. Let's see what we can see. And again, just a bit of a slide through there. We've just had a caution turn 2. Looks like someone's managed to spin, and it could be. Looks like Mick Rush here. He's ended up facing the wrong way. Now that's a really dangerous position. He's managed to get himself off the racing line. Well done, because that could have been much less enjoyable for everybody coming through turn 2 there. Let's go back live now to Rudskogen and see how things are looking up front. That is not Alex Wilson. So let's jump up here. Here we are. Alex and Alan still maintaining their positions and just starting to settle in now. I imagine we're coming up on the halfway point of this race, so our drivers will be thinking about their pit strategies and whether it's worth pitting early to try and get some clean air and perhaps make up the small gap between them. It'll be interesting to see if this lapped traffic does cause any concerns here. Just trying to look at that. Car 53, so that'll be Nathan Bowman who they're coming up on now. Now, of course, the blue flag rules here. He's not required to facilitate a passing move, only to continue holding his racing line. So it does make for an exciting few moments while the lead drivers try to get past this lap traffic. Hopefully they've got the pace to get through. It does look like at some point there Alan's regained the lead. Not sure where we've missed that, I'm sorry. But he's also made an excellent pass to get past Nathan, and this is his opportunity to extend his lead a little further over Alex, who may well find himself stuck here for just a moment. We'll see how that plays out. Looks like Nathan's given Alex some room there to charge on through and start to recover a little. The gap there for a moment got out to 1.1, 1.2 seconds. So hopefully we'll be able to claw that back over the next couple of laps. Meanwhile, Miles Bond, just a little further back, has really come off the pace, and he's actually dropped a position to Hugh McLaughlin there. Good to see a couple of Ferraris up front, not gonna lie. It's a special place in my heart, and certainly seeing those two in very similar liveries. It's not something that's an uncommon sight here, as they tend to end up racing fairly closely. Tell you what though, the Ford Mustangs not faring well tonight. We're not seeing a Mustang really anywhere up front until you get down to 10th place with Ryan Palmer. So whether they're just not handling this track layout as well as the rest of the GT3 pack, being a fairly new car, it's still something that a lot of these drivers are coming to grips to. Let's take a look back at Ryan Palmer. He's currently battling Hayden Norris, trying desperately to hold him off there. Given the pace of the rest of the Porsches in the field, it might be a bit of a tricky battle. I do appreciate the livery though. That's a fantastic livery for a Ford Mustang. It was floated earlier today in the Discord, and I'm glad to see someone's followed through with it, because really, it's not a bad looking livery, despite the obvious brand clash. And if I'm not mistaken, that may well be another, just a couple cars back with Josh Harris as well. Well done, lads. Good to see, good to see. Might stick with this for a little while, because as we come off the main straight, Hayden will be tucking in behind. hopefully getting a good run through these first couple of corners as well. Both of these guys have very, very similar best lap times, so they've both got the pace. It will just be a question of who can hold it out, but Ryan seems to be holding his own there. His previous lap just a tenth faster than Hayden's, so with any luck he'll be able to keep himself in the top 10 and keep his nose in those higher points as well. And Miles Bond has just made a pass here on Hugh McLaughlin. Tell you what though, nose to tail up that main straight. Let's take it back just a few seconds here because I'll be interested to see that pass. Might have to go back a few more seconds than that. Let's try that again. Car that stopped there, that looks like it's just taking that that wider line and it's giving up the place there. The car that we just saw stopped on the side of the road was Mick Rush. So maybe just go back and have a look where he's sitting at the moment. He's back up and running. I suspect his race will continue. Doesn't look like there's anything that's stopping him from carrying on. Further back in the pack, we've got a bit of a close battle going on with Kyle Stevens and Dean Reddit. Kyle in 16th, Dean following up there with Bradley Cheney and Hayden Kalman not too far behind either. Great view down the main straight, getting some of the track in there. Very impressed with iRacing's camera setup for this track, especially being one of the free ones released this season. Thankfully, everyone here seems to have gotten their heads around it reasonably quickly. We've had a fairly clean last 10 minutes or so. Dean slowly closes in on Kyle here. Whereas we obviously fallen, looks like he's just missed that exit a little, which may just the break that Dean needs to get a nose in front of these next couple of corners. Be all over Kyle's mirrors there. I'm sure Kyle's feeling the pressure in the Mustang. Will he make a move into turn one? Doesn't look to me like he's quite close enough. It'd be very brave to be diving in there. Just has a little peek. Just enough to let Kyle know that he's still there and he's still hunting. Travis getting some proper pace here. I'm not sure what's happened there to Kyle. Could well be that I'm having connection issues with iRacing, of course. That is bizarre. Well, that's certainly not going to have helped him. As always though, the Mustangs are good for burnouts if nothing else. Good to see. Might have to just take a quick look back there. I'm not sure if I've had connection issues to the iRacing server, or if Kyle's indeed had some connection issues himself and has caused an incident for him. Let's take a quick gander back at that. I'd say something's gone very wrong there. That is unfortunate. So hello? It's coming through there, so this is one of the joys of a live racing service, that it does require a solid connection on both ends, and certainly broadcasting the race is proving to have its challenges for my connection here. In any case, that's what's put Kyle further back into the pack, is just trying to get the power down a little too early there and finding himself facing the wrong way again. So come back to Reddit now. And he finds himself in some nice clear area out of the three-car battle going on behind him, with Brian East, Bradley Cheney and Hayden Kalman. BMW, Mustang and Porsche all very, very close together through that section. I might just step it back one there and have a look at this little battle. Meanwhile, just as an update up front, we're seeing Alan Dawson still at the lead. Joshua Van Triet now 7 seconds behind, so Alan is really causing distance on the rest of the field up there. And look, frankly, not disappointed at all to see an Audi out in front. It's not a car that gets used a whole lot. I think we've only got about 3 drivers that I can recall, maybe 4, that do run them in this series. So I'm glad to see them getting a bit of success. It's not all about the latest and greatest with the Mustangs. Meanwhile, the battle continues here. Brian East holding them off for the moment, but less than half a second between the 3 of them. Looks as though Bradley's making his move. He's made the pass through the corner there. Well done. And Hayden Kalman has taken advantage of what looks like Brian moving just off his line, and they've both gone through. So it's all on Brian now to jump in that slipstream and hopefully cover a bit of pace there. He seems to be, unfortunately, just dropping away a little as the 2 of them start to put some distance between him. We take a look at just a few of the best laps there, and oh no, Bradley has lost the back end on that Mustang. He'll lose a couple of spots there as well as he rejoins, which is unfortunate for him. And he has just called that one through to race control for them to review, so let's go back and take a quick look at that and see if there was perhaps some contact that led to him getting spun around. Yeah, that was a very, very ambitious attempt there from Hayden Kellnan, and I suspect he'll be receiving a penalty from race control for that one. Just too late on the brakes, and look, we all know the great Ayrton Senna said that you're no longer a racing driver if you don't go for a gap. You see it, but that was probably a couple of steps too far for Hayden Kellman there. So my tip is that we'll be hearing a penalty for him on that one fairly soon. Leave it to the stewards to decide though as they review the footage as well. Up front here with Scott Stevens in a reasonably close race for third position. He's got Roberto Marchetti, Alan Dawson, Alex Wilson and Miles Bond all on his tail. Now obviously there's been a bit of a shift there as they've come through the pits. Alan Dawson spending a total of 35.7 seconds in the lane. All actually fairly similar in terms of the pit stop length. Miles Bond only 4.6 seconds in the box, which does make me wonder whether he's just elected to keep the same tyres and just try and make it a really fast stop for fuel only. So we'll see how that strategy plays out for him. Of course, I generally expect to get at least 40 minutes out of one of these sets of tyres, so those 5-6 tenths that he saved there could just be the difference between positions as we come into the closing stages of race 1. With just a little over 8 minutes to go. Of course, the white flag decided by iRacing figuring out whatever it does in the background. And our current leader, Joshua Van Treek, unlikely to be the one that sets off that white flag as he hasn't come through the pits just yet. So we'll have to wait and see. He shouldn't be far off, I imagine. We might just jump up and have a quick look at how he's going there. See if he might be about to come in the next lap or so. Incredibly surprised if he manages to make this race without any stop at all. I can't see that that's actually possible unless he's been on an incredible fuel-saving approach. But in my experience, with the way this championship is configured, there is just no way. He's allowed to continue through there by Brian East. Just making way for the front runner. And Joshua's got 23 seconds on second place. Now if we take the other pit stops as Matthew Carriage finds his way in, as Scott Stevens has just pitted it as well. So we've really only got the two lead drivers yet to pit in Joshua Van Treek and Roberto Marchetti. Now they'd have to be getting close to fumes in those fuel tanks. The gap that Joshua Van Treek has over Roberto is 23 seconds currently, but given they both need pit stops, I wouldn't be looking at that. Alan Dawson, 24.5 seconds back. Given that most of the pit stops are taking around 35 seconds, you'd have to expect that Joshua Van Treek will find himself probably back in about 8th or 9th after a pit stop, battling with Mitchell Curry and Matthew Carrick. But he's gone another lap, so I hope he's keeping an eye on that fuel gauge. Or, at best for him, perhaps, I haven't caught his pit stop here in my stats, but he's going to be pushing it very, very close. Really, 5 minutes to go. You'd have to be thinking about just a splash and dash, but you're going to lose a lot of time in the lane itself. Purely from the reduced speed. Let's wait and see how that plays out for him. Because if he does manage to pull this off and take the race win, without a pit stop, I would be stunned. Roberto Marchetti's just pulled into the pits there and he'll be taking fuel suspect not much else. It'd be interesting to see how long his stop takes. He's actually out of the box now. So let's just go back. He's on the way out of the pits, and you can see the speed differential at the end of that front straight. And not a particularly quick stop, but still around the 35-second mark, which says to me that Joshua Venture's going to find it very, very hard to maintain that number one spot if he does have to pit. So let's go back up front and see what's happening. He's coming in now. Okay. Let's keep a close eye on this. As Alan Dawson gets closer and closer. I reckon Joshua Venture's probably cursing that pit speed limiter right about now. Alan will pass him just as he finishes his stop, I imagine. There we go. So he's dropping back a few spots, but making it this far into the race, less than 4 minutes to go, he's actually had a particularly good stop there, coming out in 4th. It's certainly a lot better than I predicted, despite still being a 35-second stop, so 35-second time in the pit lane rather. So to still be holding 4th is pretty impressive. The rest of the field all spreading out there. Look, he's got Alan Dawson right on his tail as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But the field's certainly spreading out a little more after all the pit stops. We're not seeing the close racing that we were prior to everyone pulling through the pits, which is really interesting. Although it does look like there's quite a few cars close together. We've just had confirmation that the incident just a few minutes ago, Belluccini and I believe Hayden Kellerman being a racing incident. So I may just quietly have gotten that one wrong. So fair enough. The stewards obviously taking their time to review that one carefully. Go up front to Alex Wilson, who's regained his number one spot. Now just needs to hold Miles Bond off another... Oh look, I'd be surprised if this is not the final lap as it comes around. We've got 2 minutes left to run. There may still be 2 more laps here. I'd be pretty surprised if we do see that at this point. Certainly with only a minute and a half to go, as Alex Wilson comes around that final bend, we'll be seeing the white flag here, I'm sure. He's got it all to hold on to. And as we come into, I would have thought, the final lap, it looks like we might squeeze just one more after that. Alex Wilson will be absolutely cursing now, I suspect, if he's had even a moment to look at the race timer. Because I'm pretty sure he was only about 3 seconds off that being called a white flag under iRacing's usual approach. So he's now going to have to do at least one more lap after this to maintain his number one spot. Miles Bond will have him absolutely in the sights there. Drop back and go on board with Miles in the Ferrari. who's further back in the pack. We might just take a quick look back. Mitchell Curry overtakes Hugh Bottom, who I believe has, must have had a bit of an issue there. And Jacob Hughes unhappy with that pass, so let's take a quick look at there and see what we can see. Oh! Well, that's, yep, that'll do it. That'll do it. An absolutely terrible rejoin, and that may just have ended Jacob Hughes' race. He will be absolutely furious, and rightly so. It's not what you want to see at all, particularly this late in the game. And we'll go back live to Alex Wilson. So we come around, final lap, and the final couple of turns here. Miles Bond very loose behind him, as he does everything he can to stay in touch, but Alex Wilson too good, just too fast, and will take out race number 1, or round 5 of the GT3 series. Very, very well done to him. We'll see how the rest of the field come on through. Got a couple of battles going on, but nothing particularly close. Everyone's spaced out fairly well, which is pretty indicative of this track being hard bloody work for the drivers. Back here with Ryan Palmer, he's got Dean Reddit not too far behind, but still a second is a lot to make up in just a couple of corners. As we see Ryan lose traction here through the last bend. But he's done well to stay calm and put himself across the line in 11th, just ahead of Dean Reddit's Audi. Further down the pack, we've got Josh Harris in the other Holden Ford entry, or Ford Holden, depending on how you want to say it. Bring yourself across the line in 15th place there. And that will bring us to the end of race 1. As we take a look at the results, just as they come through for us. With apologies, let's try that again. Let's reset those. We don't seem to be able to get the results up for race 1. I'm sorry. Let me go back. We'll have a look at that a little later on. As we look at the lineup for race 2, which won't be far off now. We've got just a 5-minute interval between races, so I will take the same opportunity, grab a quick drink, take yourselves off and fill up your own, and we'll see you back here in just a couple of minutes for our second race, our 20-minute sprint, where I'm sure we'll see just as many incidents, if not more, that we did in that first round. wait the last minute before we jump into the next session, I thought we'd take a quick look back at just a couple of the incidents that we did see late in the race there. I'm curious to have another quick look at this incident with Kyle Stevens fairly late in the race. Let's just take a look at see what's happened here, because I believe this is where he's lost control and come back across in front of Jacob Hughes. Bit of a rough end to the first race for everyone there. Based on the tyre marks, so it's tried to get off the racing line, but just no, mustn't have been that one. Right, look, we'll go back live. As we get into the feature race tonight. Now, 20-minute sprint is just about ready to go, and if we have a look at how they line up here, Alexander Wilson finds himself on the front row for race 2 based on his finish. I think we might actually see that reset, because I think that's still pulling through from race 1. Alright, I might have to correct that. Let me run through those. We've got Hayden Norris on row 1 alongside Robert McKetty. We've got Scott Stevens. Let's try this again. No, still doesn't want to work for us. Look, we'll play around with that. We will figure that out in time for the next one. As we get ready to go. And they are off. Race 2, a really shocking start. Miles Bond doing well to get through. Oh no! And again, we've had a big incident right off the start. The front of the field. Oh, and another one in the background. We'll go back and we'll have a look at that, because that is not the start that they would have been hoping for there. Take it back and see what on earth has happened. With apologies, we'll just reset that so we don't have to wait 40 seconds for it to show us what on earth's happened. Get off the line and just a mess all around. That's not going well. Look, everyone's done really well to avoid that, and only that's really lucky to only have really 3 or 4 cars impacted there. But it does look like Alex Wilson, one of our front runners from the first race, it looks to me like he's lost that left front. Look at that. He will not be finding himself anywhere near the front of this race, which is a real shame. He made some good points there. As we go back to our live coverage, and we'll jump forward where the action continues in a front end dominated by Porsches. We've got all sorts of calls coming through race control now. Got at least three or four going on with the stewards at the moment. which is not surprising at all, given those first corner incidents. Thankfully though, we've managed to stay green and the racing continues. For those who were lucky enough to get away with it on that first lap. I suspect we might have a couple more incidents to go back and take a look at before the race is done for the night. Had a call in as well. Let's have a quick look at this re-entry and see what concerns been. Car 16 not concern here. I'm just looking at this the re-entry here. Well, that was risky business there. I think we're lucky to have not had another incident. And found ourselves on the yellow flag. Really hoping that we managed to keep things clean here. As we do get back live. And riding with Mitchell Curry setting himself the fastest lap, 1:21.13. They are straight back at race pace. Joshua Van Treek just hanging ever so slightly off the back of a fairly close battle for 7th, but we're going to go back up to the top end of the field here, where we have just an absolute train of drivers coming through 1st to 6th. Roberto Marchetti, Peyton Norris, Scott Stevens, Mitchell Curry, Miles Bond and Jacob Hughes, all just absolutely storming through here. With daylight back to Josh Harrison 7th. If they can hold it together, they'll find themselves well out front. We may just get ourselves a nice little battle out of it. Something for the highlight reel later. More coming through race control as well. So the steward's getting a heck of a workout this evening. Quite a few changes going back in 14th. So we'll just drop back to Paul Saunders here and the battle in behind him. There's Mick Rush, Dean Reddit and Matthew Carriage. All right on his tail as well. Rush has bowed out of that one a little, given himself some space. As they say, finish first you must finish, and it's always a risk in these sprint races that you find yourself pushing too hard or being taken out by someone else who's pushing too hard. Playing the safe game there and staying in it to grab some points is not a bad idea at this stage. Dean Reddit really putting the pressure on Paul Saunders here. Can be quick, especially in Dean's head, so we'll see if he manages to squeeze through some of these corners. He's absolutely looking for an opening. He'll be well advised to keep an eye on Matthew Carriage right up behind him as well. And there goes Dean, he's taking the line. Can he hold the position? Well, Matthew Carriage looks to sneak through as well. Away they go. So that'll open right back up. We come back up the front of the field. The lead remains unchanged with Roberto Marchetti still out in front and still holding off Hayden Norris, Mitchell Curry and Miles Bond. As the top 6 really become the top 4 now. Jacob Hughes falling off the back a little and finding himself almost 2 seconds off the back of this pack at the moment. It doesn't take a whole lot, these cars. If you find yourself out of the slipstream in a GT3, you're gonna really lose that pace down the straight. Fastest lap there from Alex Wilson as well, who, despite being further back in the field, finds himself back in 21st at the moment, but a 1:20.38. So Stewart's just letting us know that the start line incident there that caused such an issue for Alex Wilson, unfortunately, is a racing incident. And no penalties to be applied. We might just take a quick look back here. As Bradley Cheney finds himself in a little trouble, and has just asked the stewards to take a quick look at this one. Let's see if we can pick up what's happened. He's been tapped from behind. Let's maybe go back and see if we can get a better view of what's happened there. So although he's lost it, he's certainly been run straight into coming through there, and that's cost him a few places. I don't know that that'll be anything other than a racing incident. No, there's really nowhere else for the other driver to go, unfortunately. Just one of those things. One of those things. We'll jump forward again. Let's take a look at the battle for 6th with Josh Harris. Still hanging in there and managing to keep Hayden Kalman sitting further back. We've had a little bit of a change of the positions further up with Mitchell Curry getting up over Miles Bond through that last corner. Unfortunately missed that. But the top 9 positions still all look within 11 seconds of each other. The gap from 5th to 6th opening right up now. Josh is 7.5 seconds behind Jacob Hughes, and that top 5 all within 3 seconds of each other still, as we find ourselves just a little past the halfway point of race number 2 this evening at Rudskogen. We'll jump a little further back in the pack as Paul Saunders continues to battle here with Mick Rush. He's just slotted in behind and quite happy to keep pressuring him until he finds an opening. It's one of the great things about racing in one of these leagues week in, week out. There's certainly a wide range of skill levels, but you almost always find someone who will end up battling alongside on the way through. There's only ever one winner, but there's certainly lots of experience and fun to be had further back in the pack, even if it's not for the top end of the points. We'll jump just a few places forward from Paul there, and Bradley continues to have Dean Reddit all over him. Matthew Carrick not far behind, as the 3 of them make their way down the back half of the course. All sorts of out of shape there. Dean Reddit's done well to not go into the back of Bradley Cheney's Mustang as he gets very, very loose coming through that corner. So I'd say he's feeling the pressure, coupled with what we've seen so far tonight. The Mustang's not really enjoying the track layout here at Rudskogen. Very, very tail happy. review. We've just been advised that one of the earlier incidents between Ryan Palmer and Joshua Van Treek was also a racing incident. And, as I alluded to earlier in this coverage, the start of these second races and the sprints is always a tumultuous and dangerous time for any driver. There's no pit stops to worry about, so you can't play a strategy card here. You really just need to be the absolute fastest right from word go. And that's absolutely proving true again here tonight as the top 5 put more and more distance between themselves and the rest of the pack, with 11 and a half seconds between the leader and Josh Harris in 6th. And this pack out in front now as we ride with Roberto Marchetti, Mitchell Curry, Miles Bond, Hayden Norris and Jacob Hughes in that order, just absolutely dominating. Very, very consistent with all of their lap times, staying within just a couple of tenths of each other. What's interesting to note, and certainly one to watch, is Mitchell Curry sitting there in 2nd. Certainly has the best lap time of that top 5 by a good half a second. So whether he's able to translate that into an overtaking opportunity to get himself out in front and then perhaps put some distance on the rest of this pack, he's going to have to make a decision on that pretty soon, as we come to 5 minutes remaining in this second race of the evening. Does bode well for his standings, of course, in the championship. Miles Bond right behind him though, so if they finish in this order, then what we'll probably see, although we'll have to take a look at the standings from that first race, certainly Miles and Mitchell up there in positions 1 and 2 in the championship may just find themselves a little closer together again for round 6 next week. Mitchell Curry and Roberto Marchetti starting to open up a little gap there on Miles and Hayden behind them. But it's minimal, and really I'm going to be very surprised to see if this group of 4 does split up for any reason other than an incident through one of these corners. Hayden Norris just getting a little wide off the back there. I'd say he's starting to struggle to keep up the pace, but he's regathered well and continues to follow Miles Bond through these corners. There's quite a gap back now to Jacob Hughes there, who's after falling off the back of the pack find himself 3 seconds behind Hayden Norris, so really out on his own. If we take a look back a little further in the pack here, we go to what we'll call the battle for 6th. Josh Harris is holding off 5 drivers behind him, with Hayden Cooper, Ryan, Hugh and Joshua all following that train. Bit of a light flash going on there from, I think, Hugh McLaughlin, who is just asking Ryan Palmer if he'd kindly step aside to allow him through. I doubt we're going to see that tonight somehow. The sportsmanship amongst this group is great, but it doesn't generally extend to giving up race positions, particularly at a critical point like this where we're down to the last few minutes of race number 2. Quebec is the only fans Audi. It pains me to say that I can't recall I want to say Renee Gracie, who usually finds herself behind the wheel of an OnlyFans Audi in the real world Australian series. So we'll have to have a chat to Cooper at some point and see if he's made some sort of deal to run that livery here, or if perhaps he's just advertising his own early fans tonight. This group sticking together and just waiting for the mistake. Really interested to see what happens here with Hugh McLaughlin as he continues to put huge pressure on Ryan Palmer and desperately weaving back and forward. Ryan Palmer almost makes it through, and can he make it stick there? He's just found himself on the outside, and I reckon that's just the opening that Hugh McLaughlin might need. I tell you what, this is looking dangerous. And there, oh no, contact. As Ryan and Cooper come together, and it's taken them both out of that little group. Meanwhile, Hugh McLaughlin, I'm sure, will be cheering as he's found the waiting game to pay off, and has made his way through, picked up a couple of spots there. Let's go back and just take a quick look at that one again. A lot of defensive effort going on there, but yeah, I think Ryan Palmer got a bit ambitious and just couldn't get the car turning under brakes, which is a shame, absolutely. So we'll go back live. Ryan Palmer now down into 12th position, which is, look, a shame. He was battling well there. In amongst all of that, though, Josh Harris has found himself I'm not entirely sure what it sounds like. Post-race investigation for Joshua Van Treek coming together there with Ryan Palmer. So we'll have to wait and see what impact that has on the point standing. As Roberto Marchetti crosses the line and takes the win over Mitchell Curry and Miles Bond. Very, very close together. So a great result for Roberto coming through and managing to hold them off for a great portion of that race. As we have a quick look there, and our results from race 2: Roberto Marchetti taking out top spot, Mitchell Curry and Miles Bond right in behind him, and Hayden Norris not too far behind again. Beyond that, Jacob Hughes maintains a safe drive to take out 5th, with Josh Harris following through in 6th, and Hugh McLaughlin finally getting his overtaking opportunity after that unfortunate incident, taking out a couple of cars ahead of him, but finds his way through into 7th. Joshua Van Treek in 8th, Hayden Callan in 9th, and Graham Dooley rounds out the top 10 for race number 2 of round 5 here at Rudskogen. So for the moment, we will have to wait and see what comes from the stewards room. But if we look at the championship standings, and a reminder, this is before any of the events this evening, Miles Bond and Mitchell Curry, I suspect we'll see probably move a little closer together. Alex Wilson, really unfortunate to see him taken out at the start of race 2. So he probably won't be moving up as much as he would have liked from 6th place there, but some great points for Roberto taking out the second race there as well. And Alan Dawson, a great showing in race 1. So looking forward to updating those for our next round. So everyone's just finding their ways back to the pit now. From the commentary team here, we hope you've enjoyed this evening's race. Look forward to bringing it to you again next week. As we move on from Rudskogen, we will find ourselves travelling across the oceans again and heading to Road America for round 6, which, if you've ever raced Road America, you'll know is likely to provide just as many thrills and spills as this round has for us this evening. Until next time, it's been a pleasure hosting commentary, and I do hope you've enjoyed the coverage. We look forward to seeing you again Monday night next week at 7:45 Australian Eastern Standard. Keep an eye on the Discord for your local time. Until then, stay safe. Keep the driving like this on the track, and we look forward to having your company again when we go to Road America. Thank you so much. Signing off.